Are you ready to break free from the doubts and limits holding you back? Welcome to Embrace Your Value, where therapy meets coaching to help you unlock your true worth and take control of your life.
Hi, I'm Kristin, a trauma therapist dedicated to helping you heal, break old patterns, and reclaim your power.
And I'm Jen, your support coach, here to show you how to set fierce boundaries, embrace self-compassion, and step boldly into the life you deserve.
So, whether you're stuck in self doubt or feeling lost, know this: your value isn't up for negotiation. It's time to own it.
Every week, we tackle real issues that challenge, inspire, and empower you to live with purpose and confidence.
So, grab your favorite drink, take a deep breath, and let's get started.
Because you're not here to play small. It's time to embrace your value.
Hey, hi, everybody. Welcome back to Embrace Your Value. Jen and I are here again this week with a very special guest that I'm going to let Jen introduce.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristin. Yes, we have Linda Brand, and we are so excited that you are here. So let me tell you a little bit about Linda. She is a women's empowerment coach and spiritual mindset coach. She guides women on a transformative journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Certified as a dream builder coach through the Brave Thinking Institute, she specializes in helping people unlock their inner potential, cultivate deep self-love, and create meaningful life transformations. Linda has been an entrepreneur most of her life. She is a single mom to an adult son. She's overcome many challenges and trauma in her life, including a debilitating illness. She is the host of Worthy and Abundant podcast in season 3, where she shares powerful conversations that are inspirational, transformational, and motivational, as well as some solo episodes where Linda shares powerful insights to help her audience shift their negative programming. She has a background in real estate and is a licensed Florida realtor, but her true passion is self-development, health and wellness, and spirituality. Linda believes self-worth and self-love are the foundation of a successful, abundant life. So welcome, Linda. We are so glad you're here. I will
Welcome.
let you tell us your story.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. I really appreciate it. My story, where to begin? Basically, I overcame a lot of things as a young adult in my late teens and got into trouble. And I carried shame for many years. And I met my son's father. Actually, I got into real estate in 92 and then met my son's father, and we were not really a match. So we raised this boy 1 mile apart, 2011 and 12. And I'm just condensing it. I had a debilitating illness. I was misdiagnosed by 4 doctors. I was my own advocate. I used my intuition. I knew they all told me fibromyalgia, and I knew that wasn't it. Fast forward 2017, I was at a workshop in 2016, started crying. The man's, oh, you identify yourself with Lyme disease, which is what it was. And it was a light bulb moment. And I went back to my MD alternative doctor and I asked her to draw blood. And I just stopped identifying myself as a sick person. And then I started hiring coaches in 2017 and for my real estate, but they were all spiritual coaches. And then in 2021, I was at a workshop in Miami with Gina DeVee. I had gone to see her in Chicago. I was struggling in my real estate business. I was in debt. My son was about to graduate college. And I thought, if nothing changes, what's going to be different if I don't take an action? So I paid for this workshop, flew to Miami in December. And the final night there, I was washing my hands in this Italian restaurant. And I got this divine, strong message saying I belonged in Florida. And it's a long story short, I sold my home on 2/22/22 and relocated across the country with my rescue dog to Florida. and started a coaching business and then the podcast. And all kinds of things showed up that I had to heal, clear, and resolve. And it was a huge move, but ultimately, I've been on this healing journey for many years, and it catapulted. Once I went to Florida, I came to Florida and I released so much from my home and my life in Michigan. And I basically just still doing the work and wanting to coach. You can coach anyone that's 2 steps behind you, 2 years behind you, right? But I still had things to work on. Like I realized, wow, Linda, you've been carrying shame for how many years? That's the lowest vibration on the freaking scale, right? The Abrahamic scale. So it was a lot of awareness, right? So that is what happened. I did get my Florida license here, and the podcast has been incredible. It was initially called Empowered. I met amazing people from my podcast. I have some incredible guests, and it's been just like a vessel. Literally, everyone, like, it's something that I'm good at, and it doesn't take much effort. And I love it so much. And it's been incredible. It's in the top 3% globally now. And like I said, I've met amazing souls all over the world from the podcast.
It's wonderful. That's a very empowering and great story.
Thank you.
So, what would you say has been, like, I know you're still working on things or you've been working on things and you're moving in. So, what has been one of the biggest life lessons for you over the past 3 years since you've lived in Florida?
The biggest life lesson that I want to convey right now to the world is you are worthy just for breathing. You are worthy because you are alive. And I lived as a people pleaser, as someone who I didn't even know I was doing it. And once I became aware, I recognize now it was a trauma response. But ultimately, we are all far more capable than we know, and we're limitless beings. And so that's something that was the biggest lesson, the biggest thing for me to know, because I used to think I wasn't good enough because I didn't have a college degree, or I wasn't good enough because of what I had in the past, just all these different things. I grew up with ego, fear, lack, scarcity, even though we had food and shelter, and my dad was a pharmacist, and we had a decent, my dad grew up with a depression. There was a lot of scarcity and fear, and shut the water and shut the lights and yelling and the whole money thing. I've had to heal that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's beautiful that you're worthy just for breathing, because that's absolutely true. And that's really a lot of what Kristin and I talk about in what we do.
And I love that you were able to put it all together and get yourself on a healing path. People pleasing is such a trauma response. And people that I would say people pleasing, big issue in therapy, and they don't even know that's what they're doing. And they certainly don't know why. Figuring that out is huge and life-changing.
It is, because I wasn't aware, and it still will show up. And I'm like, whoa, what's happening? Why are you racing to get somewhere? And I'm like, oh, you like to be on time. But it's really, I don't want to let somebody down. I want to disappoint somebody. So I love that awareness and the freedom that comes when you stop looking for things outside of yourself, validation from others, and you just learn to love yourself. I have been on the learning to love yourself path and being my own best friend. And I would rather stay home with my dog and hang out with him than be around toxic, negative people. I'm very protective of my energy. And I feel one thing I will say for sure is I truly did belong in Florida, because I've met so many more like-minded women here and so many more people that are on the same path. And it's just very interesting. I was led here for sure.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's an awesome story. What a great testament to just paying attention to your intuition and listening to yourself. When we don't trust ourselves, we make all kinds of crazy decisions sometimes. But when we just fold in and just let ourselves sink into our own knowing, especially as women, right? We have a great intuition as women, to just sink into that and let yourself take the reins. I love it. That's amazing.
Thank you. I also actually self-diagnosed myself recently with ADHD. I was in the bookstore. I suspected, I was like, why am I this certain way? And I found the book. I don't know if either one of you are aware of this. There's a podcast also, and there's a book called ADHD for Smart Ass Women. And she's an attorney, Tracy Atsuka, and the book's phenomenal. The podcast is phenomenal. And I'm listening, going, OMG, I found my people. Like, okay. Because before that, I'm like in these different group coaching and classes, and I'm like, I learn differently, right? I do things differently. And it's just wonderful when you find out that you're not a certain way. Because we compare. It's just a default program to compare each other.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And I think women who get diagnosed with ADHD get a lot of validation for some of their overthinking and their overdoing and trying to, and people please is another one. Depends on what messaging you had as a kid about how much you were supposed to do or how much you needed to manage other people. It's cool that you have so much insight. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it is very interesting. And especially finding this attorney podcast. I'm not on medication or anything. I'm less into pharmaceuticals, but just like finding these smart, successful women that are using their whatever you want to call it as a superpower almost, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's cool. There was something else I just wanted to share when it came to my health condition. I wanted to say that was one of the darkest times of my life because I felt very alone and it's invisible. No one can see it, right? So you look normal. And I battled that with multiple from pharmaceuticals, herbs, very expensive herbs, lighting my Shabbat candles every Friday night that I still light to this day, and started a gratitude practice that I still do to this day. And so we're talking over 12 years of doing those things because I wanted to, and I quit alcohol. I did everything in my power to get well. And I realized this a while ago that was the beginning of the spiritual journey because it was teaching me how to take care of myself, how to prioritize my well-being. And so it was very interesting. And yeah, I've been through a lot of things and I've been suicidal in the past, but today I am not a victim. I am a creator. But it took a lot of dark night of the soul, different times, even here in Florida, where I was like on my 55th birthday, I'm 57. I had emotional thing and I got a therapist for the first time in my entire life and it helped. And then, yeah, so I'm very much an open book. I'm transparent. I feel like there's no other way to be. And I love this journey. And my whole thing is to empower women to know that we are limitless and that we can have, be, and do anything we desire in God's timing. And when you take the inspired actions and you know your value and you take care of you and you become your own best friend and all the things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love how you say you're no longer in victim mentality because that's such a huge thing. I think there's so many people out there in general, but women especially, that live in victim mentality and they don't know what it is. They don't realize that's
Yeah.
what they're doing. And I know Kristin works a lot with that and I work a lot with that. I'm assuming you probably work a lot with that with clients and really just helping them come through that and understand that when we do start doing things like gratitude, practicing gratitude, that we see more. Kristin knows that I'm a big journaler and that I bring a lot of journal prompts into what we're doing and use those, but that really will help get us out of that victim mentality and make us realize what we have, where we're at, and how good things really can be.
Yeah, I think a lot of women were not taught to prioritize themselves because it's a program to serve everyone else and be the caretaker and the caregiver. This is everyone gets fed first, everybody gets that's like a program. And I think that we've just been really suppressed for years. And now we're stepping into our power, and it's really beautiful. But like when you're talking about victim mindset, it's like I used to think, oh, you don't have a college degree. How can you do? Oh, you're in real estate. It's a hard. And I'm empathetic and like rejection. I was working on my mindset for 20 years, listening to Tony Robbins and Brian Tracy because I knew that I was in sales and that I had to fix this because of the upbringing with kind of negativity. And there was just criticism and negativity. Nobody's like saying, oh, you're smart and beautiful. What do you want to be when you grow up? You
Right.
can do anything. Nobody was doing that. This chapter that I wrote in this book, I just want to
Mhm.
share, like when I read it today, even though it's only a few months ago, like I would have written it differently because it's slightly written in victim consciousness, like slightly, but it wasn't because you can always say words are powerful, right? What we say becomes true. So I just think that I would have said things a little differently, but ultimately it was therapeutic to write this chapter. And the bottom line is our pasts do not define us. That's it. And we get to create, we are the author of our story, of our life. So that's just the beautiful thing. And every day is a gift. Thank you, God, for a new day, is what I say every single day. I started doing EFT tapping. Are you familiar?
Yeah, I've done
I think we
tapping.
both do it. Yep.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I love it. It's really helped me. That was like the last thing that has helped me because I would show up on social and do all these coaching things. And then the next day, I'm like, who are you? Who do you think you are? That whole imposter syndrome.
Yep.
And then I tap and I'm like, all better.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. I love that. Yeah, so this is just really inspiring and empowering. I love listening to you talk and hearing what you have to say around this. I can edit this part out, so it's okay. I'm just trying to think of some other questions
Sure.
to really ask. Kristen, anything coming to you?
Yeah, maybe. Linda, what do you feel like was the most impactful part of your journey?
I would say selling my house of 25 years, clearing it out, moving across the country to an apartment. I was in fear. I was raised without faith in a way. Like I was told we're Jewish, but everyone hates Jews. Don't tell anyone you're Jewish. My dad chose to be an atheist because of the murdered Jews in the war. My mother's side, my grandma was from Russia. We had a Christmas tree. I didn't really have the foundation. My son, I was pregnant with him. I studied Judaism a little bit and all that, but I'm talking about way back. So my foundation, I didn't have a strong faith foundation. So when I was moving across the country, I was very afraid. And I was like, what's it going to be like? Oh my gosh, I've pulled into this garage for 25 years and now, I'm going to be in an apartment. Is it safe? It was like so many things. Like safety and security is a huge thing in my astrology or my human design, like who I am. And I think the biggest thing was moving here, like taking that, having that courage. Like my mother doesn't talk to me anymore. I have no relationship with my mother. She stopped in 2022. I told her I was moving. Like she had been pushing me away. My sister, it's a whole toxic, dysfunctional story. That's a whole other podcast, probably. But really, it was courageous. And I'm just grateful that I did it. But if someone told me 4 years ago, you're going to be living in Florida, you're going to have a podcast, I'd be like, what? A podcast? Like, it was wild. And also the podcast, like I wasn't seeking out to do a podcast, but I was in a free workshop for 5 days with Kathy Heller. And she's like offering her podcast class. And I was on the fence, which the fence is the worst place to be. But I was like, it felt worse to not do it. Again, it was like nothing changes if nothing changes. So I went for it. And it just opened all kinds of it just changed my life, really.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Showing up and taking the actions, even when you're scared, or even when, you don't know what's going to be. And just, I've learned to trust myself more and more. And lately, I'm really trusting myself and I'm loving it. And I'm just loving listening to myself and doing what is right for me. Like, I took some stuff off my calendar this week because it was feeling too much. And I like the space. I like space. And yeah, so it's me and the dog, and I love my life. And yeah, it's incredible. So it's easy to open social and see other people doing all kinds of amazing things, or, oh, she's in Hawaii, but we're all on our own journey. And you got to just compare yourself to who you were 6 months ago or 6 years ago and be grateful. Like you said, gratitude is so gigantic to shift your mindset. And yeah, so
Yeah, I agree 100%. And yeah, with the comparison thing, especially because we can't compare ourselves, even when we're in things like you and I, Linda, are in a mastermind together. Even being in something like that, we can't compare ourselves to the other women in that mastermind
that's
because their
right.
journey is different. It's separate. But we can love each other. We can encourage each other. We can support one another. And
Yeah,
we can do things like this, have each other on podcasts, have conversations on the platform, and just really support each other. Because I believe 100% that's what this is about. It's not
right.
about feeling bad because you're not where somebody else is. It's not about making somebody else feel bad because they're where they are and you aren't there. It's just about supporting each other and finding different ways to. I had a connection call yesterday and we were just chatting, and the very first thing that we started talking about was reciprocity. And I don't believe that reciprocity comes from the same person that you gave to in the first place.
That's
So you
right.
give to somebody, but the universe, God, they give back to you from somebody else. And if
That's right.
you're not looking for it, you can miss it. And then
Yeah.
you're in this victim state of they didn't pay me back, or they didn't, I did that for them, they didn't do it for me. But somebody else did it for you.
That's right.
And that's really like a huge, I love that because you're finding that in your life. And I know I have seen it multiple times over in mine, all over the place. And I just think that's really important to be aware of.
Yeah, it absolutely is, because the way I grew up was kind of like competing and comparing with girls and women. And the reality is, the magic is when we come together and we need each other. And we really do need each other. And every time I go to a networking and there's a bunch of women together, just magic happens. Women are powerful. Women are beautiful and powerful. And like I said, what I do, if I open, first of all, if you're triggered by somebody else's post or whatever it is, get curious why, and look at yourself in the mirror and say, what in me needs healing? I love taking actions to support others, even when like I might, a tinge of jealousy might show up, because just we're human, we still have the human, and just act in opposite of what I would do. And it's just, there is a karmic thing, or give, receive is a universal law. The universal law of giving and receiving absolutely is true. So you could go walk dogs at a shelter, and then next thing your phone's going off with a new client because you did something. So that is, I do believe in that law of I don't know how to say it, reciprocity. Um,
Reciprocity. Yep.
exactly. Yeah. And I think the more quiet we become and start listening and creating space for ourselves to feel good, and we can become the observer and notice what we're noticing. We can see what we're doing. That self-awareness is always number one. And then also we can follow those divine nudges, those, intuitive nudges.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
And
that.
I've been studying Kabbalah lately, and that's so fascinating too. Do either of you study Kabbalah or know about it?
I've heard of it, but I don't study it. No.
Yeah, it's just similar to all the other universal laws, but he basically, a lot of the things he says is he talks about gossiping is just so bad and complaining, all that is absolutely, I can't even be around it now. And it's really a challenge. But basically, it's very interesting. But he'll say there's somebody that you don't like or somebody did something to you. He says, when you're saying something out loud about the person, replace their name with the creator.
Yeah.
So basically, which I do believe we're all part of the one. We're someone because we're part of the one. And we're all like, when I help you, I'm helping me, the whole thing, the oneness, law of oneness. But he says, like, there's everyone's God or something. I don't know. It's really interesting. So when someone pisses you off or something, it's like that Marianne Williamson book, Return to Love, the Course in Miracles kind of stuff. Do you guys believe or study that?
Yeah, I haven't studied it, but I have heard of it.
What would love do? When you're triggered by somebody, what would love do? How can I be compassionate? We don't know why someone's behaving how they are. But yeah, worthiness is a big thing. I teach self-love and worthiness. Self-love is not selfish. It's required. You can't give from a depleted, you can't be the best employer, employee, parent if you are depleted, right? But if your cup's full, if you've had your massage, if you've had your time to yourself to have your coffee and feel good and move your body, whatever it is, you're going to show up so much better for everybody. So that's the message too that I love to convey. And we can't hear it enough. I was talking about this on a podcast solo episode. I was at a networking event and this woman, she's a former New York police. She came to Florida. She started this salt cave. It's like a spa place. And she was clueless about all of it, but she understands now how important self-care is. And she's talking about how exactly what I just said about prioritizing yourself and giving from the overflow. Women were staring at her like glued. Like when everyone else was talking, nobody was listening that much. But like it just proves that we know this stuff, but we can't hear it enough. Self-care, all that, it's not selfish. And we can't hear it enough because of the programming.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's also somewhat of a generational thing as well, too. You know, I'm in your generation, Linda. We definitely got programmed to do for others before ever doing for ourselves. And I think things are trickling down a little bit more with the younger generations and maybe swinging too far the other way. Maybe they are becoming a little too self-indulgent. But yeah, I think that you're right. There's just not enough words out there to say, take care of yourself first so that you can take care of all the people that you love.
Yes. And there was something you were saying that was powerful around this. Oh yeah. And our parents, like I watched my mother like never take care of herself, like never put herself first. So I watched her be a martyr. That was what I saw. And it's sad, but thankfully we are changing and we are noticing how that doesn't work. And you end up unhappy. You end up when everybody leaves and you're an empty nester, like now what? Like I'm worthless or something. What am I good for now? Because everybody's gone. I don't have to take care of anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So Linda, this has been lovely.
Yes.
And thank you so much for being here. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So I have a community on School that's called Worthy and Abundant. I have a podcast, Worthy and Abundant. And then you can find me on Instagram at Linda Brand Coach and the website Linda Brand Coach and Facebook and all the social media places. But I mostly hang out on Instagram. I am on TikTok, but I forget all about TikTok and then I'll be like, oh, I should post on TikTok. But yeah, I'm everywhere. Linda Brand Coach. Thank you so much for having me. It's been so great to meet you too.
Absolutely.
Great to meet you. Thank you so much for being on.
You're so welcome.
We're
Appreciate
glad you were here. And I will link all of those in the show notes so that people can just easily find you that way. And yeah, we were so happy to have you. And we look forward to maybe having you again sometime. Maybe down the road. We would love that.
Yeah, or I'll have you two on my show. I would love that. I love the name of your podcast. And I think everyone needs to leave a 5-star review because this message needs to get out to more people. So we need to support each other, leave reviews, rating and reviews so that others can find it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And all right, guys, we will see you next week.
All right. See you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for being here with us today.
If today's episode hit home, don't just keep it to yourself. Subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Because everyone deserves to know their worth.
Next week, we're diving even deeper with more insights and tools to help you break free from limitations and live authentically.
Until then, keep raising your standards, owning your worth, and embracing your value.